Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking this video out. Welcome to my channel. My channel is called Forever Porty, and it is a way for me to remember my hometown of Portland, Jamaica. If you haven't been, check it out. It's a beautiful place, and it's a place that helped to make me the person that I am. So, have a lot of gratitude for that place. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And I really ask if there's anything that you like from this video or anything that you feel like you learned from this video that will be helpful to you. Subscribe to the channel and also give a thumbs up as well and share the video as well. So I've done other videos before that talked about why it's important to remove oneself from the racial system, right? Or maybe I should say it this way, how to, why one should stop continuing self-identifying using racial language. Now, the racial system, as we hopefully know, is not a system that you choose to be part of. So it's not an identity system or a social group that you can choose to be part of. I'll put a full stop there and say, well, in some ways you can. I think that there are some individuals that are allowed that chance to choose. And I think those are individuals that are usually considered mixed on the outside, right? So if someone does appear to be racially ambiguous, if they actually are racially ambiguous, and then they say, you know, this is how I identify, this is the racial group that I mostly align with, etc., etc. But I would say, apart from those people, most other people are not allowed to choose. And even if those people choose themselves as to which group they feel like they mostly identify with, the racial system is a social system. So they can still be placed in other groups by other people. So I'll give an example. Let us say that I was a person that had mixed heritage. Maybe I had one parent that in racial language is considered black, and another parent in racial language is considered white. And I said, you know, I identify more as a white person. So I can choose, I can self-identify as white. But, and however, the way that the racial system works is you don't really get a choice. You don't always get a choice, right? Because other people have their concepts. Somebody could say to me, well, you don't look white. Your hair doesn't look like, you know, a white person's hair. So even people who are given more room to choose, it just means that they're given room to self-identify. But then you also have the society's labeling system and the label that they can put on you. And that label might be the same label that agrees with your own self-identity, or it can be a different one. But let's talk about this term about people of color. Now, this is a term that is used, sometimes it's called POC, and there is also a related term that I would say kind of spun off from POC, which is BIPOC, which is BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. So originally, people of color was a term that was used to refer to people that had color in their skin. Really, how it is utilized specifically in the USA is a person that identifies and or is identified as a person that is black or brown. Because in all the colors of all the worlds, there are only two colors, black and brown. And once again, I say this very sarcastically because I don't understand why people continue to identify using racial language. It literally makes no sense. And not everything in life has to make sense. I actually personally believe that. But what is the reasoning? What's the reasoning behind saying these people are people of color? And then we ask, okay, what color are they? Okay, that means that they're black or they're brown. What about white? Is white not a color? Because remember, in the racial system, there are only three colors. Three. Initially, there were more than three. And I think for those of you who know, you know the two other colors that were removed because at some point the powers that be and the participation of society agreed that the two colors that were removed needed to be removed. And then three other colors remained. So white, black, and brown. So when we say people of color, we are referring to people that are black and brown. So that is the POC. And then BIPOC came about because there was a need to emphasize indigenous people and black people. Because even though POC should have already included black people, right? Because black is one of the colors of the POC. And brown, technically, usually indigenous people, usually, not always, but usually indigenous people would fall under the classification of brown. There still needed to be more of a focus and more of an emphasis to bring attention and to bring awareness. And I kind of understood that the reason why the BIPOC was created was for support, right? Support of those groups. Now, I've said this before and I will say it again. The whole concept of creating racial system and racial language to refer to people really is not moving anyone along, whether they are a person of color or I guess a person of no color. I guess that would be the opposite of a person of color is a person of no color or a person without color. I mean, even if you say that, it just sounds really weird. Why are we using those terms? Um, and there's a bit of trick with the language because there is an association, a very well-to-do organization that has done a lot of good, a lot of service in the community and across the entire globe, not just in the USA, but it's the NAACP, which is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Nowadays, if you call someone a colored person, that is considered to be kind of insensitive and kind of an ignorant thing to do. If I say, oh, look at that colored person over there, right? That's considered, kind of sounds like racist language. But then why do we refer to people as people of color? Why is it that we can say a person of color, but we cannot say a colored person? Does it not mean the same thing? I don't know. And once again, I don't think it ever will make sense. The whole purpose of race and trying to exist within the racial system makes no sense. It's only an old programming that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And even some of us who would like to completely remove it from our lives and our language systems still sometimes end up falling into it because it's so pervasive and it's a programming that has been adopted all around the world. So it continues to be reinforced. The language is utilized. The language is utilized in all forms of systems and structures that are created. It's utilized in the education system. It's utilized in the hospitals, in healthcare. It's utilized in entertainment. It's utilized in recreation. It's utilized in sports. And for those of you who are saying, why is she going on and on about this race thing? How, why can't we say people of color? Listen, if you identify as a person of color, that is your own understanding and that's your own truth. I am just asking that if you have never stopped to ask yourself, is there another option? Is there another way that I can see myself or speak about myself? Is there a way that I can speak about myself that does not participate in perpetuating a racial injustice? Why would I not choose that way? I think, and then it becomes a point of, okay, people of color, POC. There are groups that are formed. These are identity groups. Some people are wondering, should I be a part of this group? There are people with certain nationalities or certain cultural backgrounds. They don't know if they fall into the category of a person of color because they are not typically identified as black and brown. So are they a person of color? They're definitely not a colored person. We know that because we can't say that, but we could call them a person of color. But white is not a color according to the racial system. So if white is not a color, why was the word white, which refers to color, why is that term white used to describe people if it's not referring to color? It's not going to make any sense. Well, I won't say don't try to answer that, but you might find the answer to be very difficult to come up with. At least I have. It has not made any sense to me. Since I was a child, it hasn't made any sense, and I've grown and lived a little bit more. It still doesn't make any sense what is going on. I do think that individuals that identify as a person of color, I'm not saying to not be proud of who you are and what you look like and what your cultural background is like. There's a lot of helpful work that is being done in communities to support individuals that have been disenfranchised and marginalized because of their phenotype and because of their appearance. And if the work gets done and if there is support given and if there's grants funded because of the thought that we are supporting individuals that are POC, hey, you get the help how you get the help. Sometimes in life, I understand we communicate the way that other people understand because that's the way that other people understand. And sometimes we might have a deeper meaning, right, to the names that we use or the words that we use to attach to certain projects and to receive and to accomplish community initiatives. So I am not trying to judge anyone for their choice in identifying as a person of color. It's not about judgment. This is not about shame. This is not about ridicule. This is my personal opinion that for me, how I have lived my life and the things I've experienced and where I am today, I do not see myself identifying as a person of color. And this throws people off. When I tell people this, it's quite strange to them because I can tell they're looking at me and they're saying, well, obviously you are a person of color. You're just kind of living in la la land about it. Okay, if that's how you perceive it, that I'm living in la la land, that is fine with me. But I would rather live in la la land for me than continue to use words that are created and birthed from hate. I don't want to keep using words that are associated with hate and disgust. And to me, referring to people using words of color, it did not come from a great place. I don't think the people that created the color system, the racial system, and the white supremacy system, I don't think they said, yeah, you know what? These people are classified as white, and these people are classified as black, and these people are classified as browns. I don't think it came from such love of sociology and love of the human genome. It came from a lot of ignorance and a lot of arrogance. And there were a lot of misconceptions, right, in that. So why would I continue using a word that was created to show a big difference, to show a big gap, to show someone is less than? Oh, these are people of color. Okay, these are colored people and they're less than. That's pretty much what you're saying. So why is it that it's better to say, oh yeah, I'm a person of color. I'm not a colored person, but I'm a person of color. That's different. Is it really? Do you really think it's that different? Do you think it's different to the people that would want to say the word colored people, that they call you a person of color? Do you think that there is much difference in their mind? I can't speak for everyone, but I do think that for a lot of people that would just want to say colored person, or that's what they're thinking, to say a person of color, it's the same thing. And granted, people, words and phrases have different meanings to different people, and I acknowledge that. But I think if you ask certain people, it would mean the same thing. There's not that much of a difference. So, words are very powerful. Words have meaning, words have life, and words have death. And I just ask, do you think the word person of color, does that speak life, or does that speak death to you? For me, it speaks death. Not death like I'm going to die, but I'll just say it doesn't speak life to me. And if it speaks life to you, I understand and I can respect that. I can. I am more asking if you have never thought about living in another system other than the racial system and using these terms. Give it a thought. Ask yourself questions. And if you feel as though continuing to use racialized language is, it doesn't mean anything, it's just what we all use, okay, but at least give it a thought. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Well, I'm curious to hear what your opinion is, what you have to say on this. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And please like this video if you heard something that you liked or even loved. And if you want to show your support, please subscribe and share this video as well. And once again, I said this in my earlier videos when I started this channel, I'm sharing this as a form of sharing my opinion. So it's my perspective as to what I see in society. And it also is, the goal is to help people be free in whatever areas of their life that they feel like they need to find freedom. And freedom for me equals healing, and healing equals unity, because at the end of the day, we really are all one. So thank you so much for taking the time. And I always like to close, if it's your birthday, whenever you watch this, happy birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. And I really hope that this personal new year, because your birthday is the start of your personal new year, I hope that your personal new year will bring you great abundance of wealth, abundance of health, and abundance of love and peace and joy. So happy birthday. Thank you so much for taking the time to check this video out. Thank you for your support. Much love to you. Have a great day. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.